So, what is the real problem we face right now? Besides the things that are out of our control that we are looking at having thrown at us every day to turn one's mind into mush, what exactly are the stumbling blocks that people fall into when it comes to understanding what is truly going on? Well, the reality of a lot of why people do not wish to change um, is because of the fact that they do not wish to change. If you understand that and look at this image and see the look on the face of the person depicted whose brain is all disheveled and out of um, you know contortion or whatever. He's not looking concerned at the person who's trying to explain to him. He's angrily looking at him as the person who's trying to explain to him, who has gained the self knowledge necessary to understand the larger picture at stake, is worriedly trying to explain to him. See, this is the problem we want to run into, and this is the problem we run into not just in society, among the people that believe they're awake. This infighting, this details of this truth and that truth that are completely missing the um, entirety of what is going on here. The understanding that we are being subjected by people who are ruling over us. We are being subjected to a world that is owned by them, that is controlled by them monetarily, by all of the resources we consume, that we purchase. Not only do they own the money necessary to get the resources, they own the resources, which has been slowly over the years, much quicker lately, centralized, pushing smaller businesses out as these companies that are subsidized and government funded, that can withstand the rules government that make these businesses pay so much money for insurance or whatever nonsense it is, that are pushing the small businesses out, that are creating a world of you go to one store and this is what it costs. Those same people own the money. And meanwhile, we are looking at each other like this image instead of trying to learn from one another, to learn that what we are is this. We are the all that is, having an experience, a human experience. The all, not that we're God and get to rule over one another, but that we are a piece of the spark of the divine that is God, that is the all. These are the teachings that all spiritual teachings try to teach. It's not about worship or following a guru. It's about embodying the principles that are being taught by those that teach them, that people have learned through their own knowledge, their life experience, their desire to want to learn more and contemplate their studies. Now, again, the knowledge is out there; it's controlled, but all the truth is out there as well. This age that has kind of, I want to say, come and gone, but it's on its way out. This age of revelation, the revealing, the apocalypse, as it is also known, which means the great reveal, the revealing of who we are, what everything is, what has been going on here. And because at the helm, it is a psychological war and it is a spiritual war that is being waged among the individual and the collective by those that have suppressed all of this information for eons. So, playing upon that ego that they have constructed through indoctrination, through destruction of the family, through the owning of and controlling of distribution of information through the understanding of our history, our deep-seated fears, wants, and needs, and exploiting them through what is known as the occult. Occult is a word that means hidden. It is the hidden knowledge of the self, how we operate physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. And it also contains all of the laws, the information on all of the laws that exist all around us, whether the physical laws, scientific laws, and spiritual and behavioral laws that are taught through eons and eons of various spiritual teachers in moral teachings, passed down through parables and stories and allegories, hidden to be kept alive for these moments where the level of intellect that we are supposed to have reached by now, since we've gotten this far technologically, is supposed to have come in line with our spiritual awareness. Instead, that spiritual awareness has been suppressed. It has been weeded out by those that understand this information, the psychological information that is used to get people to behave as the body, as the avatar, as the physical experience, not as the soul or the spirit that is actually having the experience and is infinite and will have infinite experiences of learning and growth through good times and bad. See, again, understanding the universe that is all around us, that is each other, is the way out of this mess. And it doesn't mean we float around spiritually like la dee dee. It means people got to get their shit together and realize their rights, realize who they are, and realize that there's people looking to stomp all over them. Look what their own writings. Well, first, look, this is what they're trying to, of course, clamp down by using the Internet of Things, the surveillance grid, the spy grid, the smart grid, the technological control of human beings by controlling money electronically, shutting it on and off, by hooking in social crediting, like they have done in places like China, which means things you say and do actually give marks and award and take away points, which determine what you can and cannot partake in. And that can be a job or a ride to work or in a car or the right to travel. These people, this psychologically sick, psychopathic death cult that has kept all this information has gotten to a point where they have taken all of the science and instead of using it in conjunction and in symbionce with nature that is here to live alongside of by realizing we are a part of it, these people are trying to control it. They're using it, and they're using it in horrible ways that poison it while blaming all of the human beings through carbon dioxide, which is the gas of life, by the way, demonization. Meanwhile, they are building a smart prison, spraying the sky, and using weather warfare in places where Project for New American Century hasn't quite been able to take off by selling wars. Um, and putting up this smart grid, this 5G millimeter wave smart grid that will not only eventually start to make people sick, and I say eventually because it's not like people are all of a sudden going to be able to equate this. This is about having, they're starting already, this illness, that illness. This is about depopulation. And the people that want it, the younger generations that have been born into this, don't even know that their body works electrically. They don't know that everything is energy in a state of, in a vibratory state that is and can be affected by frequency. They don't understand that that's how they operate. Well, the people that run this world do. And that is why this is being built not to help mankind, but to control and suppress and keep them during this reset, the great reset of not money or political, government, but of the passing of what we know, have come to know as the Mayan calendar, the precession of the equinox, the 25,940 year um, full calendar where all of the um, zodiacs that we look at in the stars that move slowly over time send in different energies. As we come out of Pisces, the age of religion, and move into the age of Aquarius, they are destroying the old world, the old religion. The new religion is being born, the new world order. It's called government. Instead of rule by one, it is rule by few, and it's all the same damn people, as they go on to tell you, as Zbigniew Brzezinski, who I guess he's dead. I don't know. He could be laying somewhere waiting to be technologically, reawoken, has told us. The technocratic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite unrestrained by traditional values. Soon, it will be possible to assert the most continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date complete files containing the most personal of information about the citizen. These files will be subject to instantaneous retrieval by the authorities, as we clearly can look around and see. When people look, and I still see people say to David Icke, "Oh, you've been saying this" in his tweets, and can't see that as he has unraveled this bigger picture, because as you connect the dots, you see what's going on, especially when you add in the repetitive nature of history and that this has happened before. When people attack him and say these kinds of things, it just shows that they themselves, who think they're awake, are stuck in a box, their own belief of what they think, and they themselves have become part of why we do not evolve and grow and stay in this repetitive, oh, we're going to go to war and fight back. No, well, I mean, we may have to, but that's not how we are going to get out of this mess permanently. It is an expansion and a growth of consciousness that will bring, and consciousness is awareness, common sense awareness, awareness that we all share, common sense, ways to live, principled ways of setting the foundation from within a loving, caring family that we can all see can be attacked and destroyed simply by programming people with television and kinds of millimeter waves and energy waves and subconscious things going on that they don't even know is happening when they're watching TV. Now we want to what? Go to 5G? Go to 5G? Is that what we want to do? You know, again, they're throwing these wars at us. As David Icke and many others have pointed out, General Wesley Clark's Project Food American Century has been known for a long time. All of these countries, the same countries. And we sit here. I'll let you read the quote. I don't need to read it. I'll leave it up long enough for you to read it. But again, all it's telling you is war is monstrous. It is not this glorious thing that we are supposed to support that makes us patriotic. What makes us patriotic is standing up because we love our country, because we know what is true, just, right, and moral, and not what our government tells us to do if it's taken over by a bunch of scumbag crazy people. And we should be far enough along in our evolution to realize that by now. But if we're not, and we take these steps backwards, we're looking at these wars and throwing political ideas at each other and can't realize it's all bullshit. It's all the same nonsense for the same countries, the centralized place they want to run the world from. Because if you understand the world in a holistic sense, you will see that the as above, so below principle applies in an occult manner that they understand and you do not. But you can understand it. And if you do, their bullshit doesn't work on you anymore. So I will finish this slide presentation real quickly with a quote from Bill Cooper, who has told us, like it or not, everything is changing. The result will be the most wonderful experience in the history of man, or it'll be the most horrible enslavement that you can possibly imagine. Be active or abdicate. The future is in your hands. Now, that was October of '89, and if you know anything about Bill Cooper, he was murdered 12 years later after warning us and telling us of 9/11 before it actually happened, naming Osama bin Laden as the person they are going to blame it on. these wars that they throw at us, if you have not seen the latest that they try to pass off in propaganda by getting rid of the Smith-Mundt Act, by the way, that was flushed down the toilet in the Obama years, which said that we, as a population, were not allowed to have propaganda used against us in order to support war. ABC has been caught using footage from a gun show in Kentucky and passing it off as a Syrian war. Now, if it was a mistake, how do mistakes like that occur is what we need to really think about. A mistake, where would this have come from? If a journalist goes out and investigates a crime, an incident, a happening, there are things that are supposed to have led up to it. Sources, leads. These people are getting handed things and reading them. So the people that claim to be journalists and are just doing that for money and their ego, for those that want this agenda, is it really a mistake, or do they really not give a shit? The people that sit at home and watch this, who choose not to learn about the Project for a New American Century and realize this is all bullshit, and take this in, and then go out and give the reactions these people want, is that Trump's fault and everybody's fault? Or is that your own fault? Things that are within our own power and control to know and react to properly are our own fault, especially now when so much information is available. This is a quick clip where you really should watch James Corbett's clip from today, where he shows this in a wide scale usage of how many times they've done this, is particularly pertaining to Venezuela. But I just want you to see the side-by-side footage and realize how ridiculous all of this is.
Taken at a gun range in Kentucky. And then the 2019 ABC News breaking news report. This is footage from Syria, guys. Honest. Well, that lie, as I'm sure many of you have seen by now, was spectacularly exposed in the last couple of days. We'll take our cue here from Zero Hedge, which has ABC admits to using fake footage of Kurdish slaughter, which notes that ABC News was just busted using 2-year-old gun range footage while reporting on Turkey slaughtering the Kurds in the wake of U.S. withdrawal from the region. And it goes to show the footage side-by-side comparison. It is the same footage. They passed off gun range footage from Kentucky as footage of Turkey slaughtering Kurds in Syria.
Now, again, ask yourself if this here it is. I'm looking for it on Zero Hedge. If this was investigated properly, could this have even happened? So if you want to look at the footage yourself, here's Zero Hedge reporting it side by side. You can see it's the same exact footage. Being ridiculous here. And again, meanwhile, as the wars continue, Project for a New American Century, well, Project for a New American Century can certainly take form in the ways of weather wars and Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 as fires in Lebanon, a country on the list of the Project for a New American Century, which, if you don't know, again, year 2000, named all the countries they wanted to go into: Iraq, Iran, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, problems with Russia and China, Sudan, Somalia, all places having all these problems, all justified by, as worded in the document, the catalyzing and catastrophic event needed, like a new Pearl Harbor, worded that way in the document, which we were given on September 11th, worded that way by the propagandist puppet president, our Pearl Harbor. And then they went on to go into all these countries they are still into, and use the Patriot Act to come after freedoms of speech, freedoms of the right to carry a firearm, freedoms of privacy, all against the American citizen in the name of keeping you safe, right? And we're supposed to be like, bunch of ridiculousness. People need to humanize this, and in doing so, realize we are all one. We are all going through the same thing. Here's Carol with some of the footage from the fires in Lebanon.
Many around the world are experiencing the same kinds of fires.
Fires spread in different parts of Lebanon, forcing some residents to flee their homes in the middle of the night as the flames reached residential areas in villages south of Beirut. The fire seemed to have been briefly controlled on Monday night, before strong winds fanned it again and came back bigger and wilder, said residents. The huge forest fires have ripped through the Shuf Mountains in the center of the country, the Lebanese Civil Defense said on Tuesday. A number of homes were gutted. On Tuesday, 48 hours after the initial fire started, the fire was still raging. Civil defense teams, Lebanese army helicopters and Beirut firefighting teams, and concerned residents have been working on extinguishing the fire, which threatened a number of houses in the town. Footage show residents evacuating to escape the raging inferno and as flames slowly creep near their homes. Fire engines were overwhelmed by the flames in the Mount Lebanon region early on Tuesday, forcing the Interior Ministry to send riot police engines equipped with water cannons to help. 2 small aircraft were sent from the nearby Mediterranean island of Cyprus and are helping in putting out the fires. A heat wave hitting the region and strong winds helped intensify the fires in pine forests around Lebanon and 3 provinces in neighboring Syria. Lebanon's Prime Minister Saad Hariri said that if the fires turn out to be intentional, those behind it will pay a price.
So, look at the cars.
Look at the cars. Look familiar, Californians, and the which side of the buildings on 9/11? Directed energy. I hope I unmuted. Either way, look familiar. We're all going through this all over the world, and it's coming to everyone. People need to realize what is going on here and simply take their minds back. Stop letting the propaganda pit each other against one another. Step into your power and be the hero of your own story. It's what you're here to do. You came here to be a light, to rediscover yourself, and to be a light in a world of darkness, to bring the evolution that God wants for the species that has been suppressed for a very long time, that has been trying to come out. Are we ready? That's going to be up to the individual, because it is an aggregate consequence that we as human beings will share in the physical. But it is up to the individual whether or not we are going to step into this and then grow in number, because it is the aggregate of society and the morality within that society that will produce freedom. And these are the things that you can learn, once again, that our rulers on this planet know and use on a daily basis to manipulate us. So, again, in closing out, this is what they're bringing in that's being ignored all over the place. These 5G satellites, towers, antennas, and absolutely horrific millimeter waves that, at a minimum, say they don't poison us all. They are connecting everything to everything in a world that will be connected to an artificial intelligence, while all of it is run and owned by the darkest minds on the planet. Is that a good idea, fellow brother and sister humans whom I love from all cultures, creeds, races, religions? Is that a good idea? We need to love one another fast. We're in trouble. I'm going to close out. If you know me, you know I'm a David Icke reader. And from there, the sourced material can be gathered, at which point you then gather your own knowledge and understanding, and you can realize your own conclusions based on the evidence that is presented to you. And David Icke's new book, The Trigger, details about September 11th that are jaw-dropping, but so much of it that is known in common sense if you are unfamiliar with understanding the ridiculousness of the physics that could not have occurred without it being a free fall for all 3 buildings that the third one had to have been set and charges placed in months, weeks, all math worked out prior to, doesn't happen in minutes, to have been pulled and dropped like that. And they claim it's office fires that are just pancaked. I mean, there's so much that we need to realize. This was the trigger that began all of this. Those of us that have a frame of reference understand what the world was before this. If you're having trouble with these details, davidicke.com. Again, you can listen to interviews such as this, but one of the best YouTubers to explain the details in what you're seeing politically from a truthful standpoint is Ryan at The Last American Vagabond. And people get on and try to say to him, what's this, the anti-American channel? He is being so American. The people that say that to him have no idea what being an American, or again, this is about being a human. This isn't even about being American, about being human. Questioning, having the guts and courage to step into truth and questioning those that would attack and bring in tyranny to us and our children, while people stand back and want it because they think they're in a good monetary place, or egghead left brain imbalanced place of knowledge to where they think they know things, but they're on here going duh to people in a chat room instead of being in a room trying to come together and understand as, boy, we've really taken some bad paths morally in the aggregate, and we need to get our shit together and realize it's about pollution. It's about standing up to those that suppress this alternative energy, who have been wiping people out, and we've just been reading about and watching in movies. This has been going on in real life. It's time to say, no, this is all bullshit to all of this. We need to start to do this in ways that grow. And again, will we? This is an individual journey, and where we are in our psychological makeup, most people do not want to leave what they appear to think are comfort zones, which will soon be wiped away. And as we don't care and blow off things that happen to one another around the world and think there's nothing I can do, it grows and it grows and it spreads and it comes to all. This is one of the lessons we're here to learn. If other people didn't matter, we couldn't learn the lesson properly. When you really understand the beauty of the lesson as understood spiritually and what you really are and what everything really is, you see the beauty in the music and the magic in the good and the evil. But we've come way far here as to where the future that we are looking to hand to ourselves who are still here and our children, it's like the worst, evilest movie plot you can think of, handing power to the craziest people in the world. And people are out here in the world ignoring the 5G, ignoring the chemtrails, the weather warfare, ignoring the censorship and book burning, ignoring the forced brainwashing and evil agendas onto little children, ignoring forced inoculations. Because doesn't matter to me yet. I'm good. I have enough. The lesson we're all here to learn is that they do get to you. We need to learn that first, or we're going to suffer the same fate we've suffered. Tyranny. Not fun, ladies and gentlemen. And knowing you are that spirit that is eternal, there's nothing to be afraid of. You're not losing anything. This is all a malleable virtual reality experience projected from within that we're all projecting and co-creating through our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. And our thoughts are skewed due to the lack of knowledge, which enables our emotions to be manipulated and played off against one another, controlling our behavior. And that is how we are ruled. It's about gaining knowledge, stepping into that knowledge, and turning it into wisdom. True knowledge and true wisdom. Love you guys. This is going to get better production-wise. Like I said, learning, doing my best. But we're going to be talking about all kind of things. We're not just going to be going, from website to website, although I do like to show a few things. And I'm trying to learn how all of this stuff works right now. But getting into some of the problems, how social engineering affects parenting, how problems in the world that dump us into the R complex, that are everyday issues, is where people's heads are at, why they're there, and why most people are pretending this isn't happening. These things are all knowable, and by planting seeds amongst those around us individually, hopefully enough of us can wake up. So, love you guys. Get learning, get speaking.